This is the Soul Holla podcast.
Every week, we bring you mystical accounts from forgotten folklore to the fringes of consciousness.
Exactly. If you have ever felt there was more to this reality than what you are being told, you've come to the right place. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Brenna, and we are your hosts on this weekly journey. Welcome to Soul Holla. Hey everybody! Today we're going to be talking about the Skinwalker Ranch. And it's kind of loaded because there's a show about it, which I never watched. I thought it might be some Hollywood fluff, although doing the research for this podcast, I don't think it is, to be honest. And the reason I'm interested in the Skinwalker Ranch is about 17 years ago, I read the book. It's called Hunt for the Skinwalker. And it was about the ranch and what happened on the ranch with the original ranchers. They are the Sherman family. And then a aerospace billionaire who bought the ranch and put a bunch of scientists on there. And that's the first part of it. There's a second and a third part too. So it's very fascinating. And the quote unquote Hollywood fluff I thought that the show might have been was just, it was erroneous, because now that I've done some research, I'm like, whoa, no, they were actually like genuine. And the show ended abruptly and strangely. And we'll get to that at the very end. And it's nothing short of creep factor 4, I think. But that being said, Skinwalker Ranch, the name Skinwalker. Do you know what a Skinwalker is, Rachel? I didn't actually look up. I think it's a Native American person that can like switch into some kind of other thing. What is a Skinwalker exactly? Because that's just the name of the ranch, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're talking about actual skinwalkers here, because as everyone will soon realize, there's a lot going on that property, and especially how the History Channel show ended the way it ended, with one of the scientists almost dying. Okay. I don't think there's skinwalkers involved in any of this, but I could be wrong. What is a skinwalker, Rachel?
Yeah, exactly what you said is what I learned too, is that it's like a medicine man who can transition into or shapeshift into a form of an animal.
Can it be a woman?
Man or woman. Yes. Non-gender. Gender is not important that I know of. Yeah, no, I think it's interesting too, because when I was looking up information about this, there seems to be a curse that one of the tribes placed on the Uinta tribe or Ute tribe. I'm not sure. It's the Uinta Basin, and that Skinwalker, whatever, there's a line that goes right through the ranch that seems to represent a division between the two tribes or something like that. But it's interesting that there's a curse involved. Yeah. So who knows if.
And I watched that as well. Basically, before the Shermans ever had the ranch,
right, way back
when it was still pretty native. Still, the one, and I'm not going to say which Native American tribe it was. If it was the Utes or this, but there was two different tribes involved here, and the one would go to the other's tribe and they would dress up like wolves. They literally like kill wolves and coyotes and make masks. And they'd wear the pelts and they'd sneak into the village, or whatever you want to call it, teepee area of the other group of Native Americans up on the plateau and steal the kids away.
Interesting.
Literally, they would steal it was human trafficking even way back when, and they had enough. One of the little girls got kidnapped, taken, and married off to some way older. I mean, she's a
God.
little girl, way older guy, white guy, and who cares what color skin he is, but like just happened to be. And that's when that tribe apparently put a curse on the land.
Oh,
so
okay.
So there could be a few different things going on. There could be some cursed, mojo going on, which maybe produces skinwalkers, because I've seen some of the footage of what people have seen on the ranch, and it's creep factor 2000. These things are not for the light of heart. But there's also a lot of other stuff. There's UFOs, there's portals that open, there's underground, and I don't want to give it away yet, but yeah, so there's this underground cavity that they found. That's what almost killed the scientists. So there could be a multitude of different kind of energies all mixing together in this soupy, creepy area. So I'm gonna go ahead.
I was just gonna say they seem to they narrowed it down to a bubble that they called it, and that there's a lot of phenomena that happens within a certain bubble area that is consistent, which is
Yeah, and the bubble, she's true. It's true. It's like a sphere, because it goes under. It goes underground too, and that's where they found the cavities, i.e., these caves.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I also tapped in on that earlier when I was doing some research as well.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give a little thumbnail of the original ranchers and some of the weird crap that they went through. They lasted about 18 months. It's Terry and Gwen Sherman. They bought the ranch in 1994. They didn't last 2 years there. It was just too weird. Okay. They reported invisible entities and shapeshifters, rather, regularly. Some of their cattle were completely mutilated. And by mutilated, I don't mean torn apart. I mean like surgically removed nipples and eyeballs.
Jeez.
And sexual organs. Surgically moved. No blood involved. Like it's been what's the word? Exsanguinated?
Oh,
is that
exsanguinated.
The right word?
Like
Exsanguinated.
meaning they lost all their blood? Like there's no blood left?
Yeah. Well, the surgical incisions weren't bleeding profusely, so
the surgical sites were like seared or something like that.
Seared or something, or they drained the blood. I'm not sure. Also, they also witnessed tons of UFOs and portals. Okay, so that's just your thumbnail if you were to just look it up, and that's what AI gives you. But having read the book way back when, 17 years ago, or thereabouts, here's a few things I remember that they wrote about or was written about them. They were interviewed, and the guy who wrote the book, interviewed them at length and got all these stories. And a few of the more memorable and creepy stories is one day they heard a scream, and they ran outside, and one of their, I believe it was a sheep, like a baby sheep, a lamb.
Yep.
Yeah. A baby lamb was literally being hauled away by what looked like some kind of massive wolf from the days of yore. What do they call those?
Oh, like a dire wolf?
Yeah, like a dire wolf. I could not, for the life of me, remember that earlier. And I'm like, she'll know it. She'll know it. But yeah, but like 3 times the size of a normal wolf. And so it was being drug away. And so they're like, oh my gosh. So the Sherman man, the rancher, who bought the land, and I also didn't mention, they bought it, had a few structures on it. They lived on it. They were ranchers. They had cows. That's what they bought it for. Okay. So anyway, he goes running out with a shotgun, puts, blows this thing up right in front, front and center, and the bullet doesn't seem to make contact in any capacity.
Whoa.
Even though he could not have missed. And so it let the little lamb go, and it ran off. And so he and his son actually saw a few drops of blood. So it did do something. And it was snowy out, and they ran after the tracks, and there was a little bits of blood here. Not profusely, like you got just shot with a shotgun kind of blood. Just a drop here and a drop there, okay? Mm-hmm. And they get to a meadow, or they get to an opening, and the tracks stop. And there's no more tracks.
Wait, the tracks are just gone, like poof in thin air?
They're just
sort of
poof into thin air.
Okay.
Like missing 411 people.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that's what it's reminding me of.
Yes, exactly. So poof. So that's one of the things they experienced. Another thing they experienced is there was this little tiny travel trailer, like, I don't know, 10 feet, like the 1960s style, like those little itty bitty ones. And it was out in one of their fields, and they just hadn't hauled it away to the garbage dump or whatever. And they noticed it was moving one day, moving back and forth. And they're like, what? And
what's going on?
If the trailers are knocking or rocking, don't come a knocking. But anyway, they're like, what the heck is going on? And they reluctantly finally opened the door to see what the heck was in their trailer. And it was their bull.
Oh my gosh.
And their bull if anybody's ever been around cows, bulls are huge. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are a massive,
significant
entity. They're big. And the thing of it is the bull would never have fit through the door in a million years.
It's not like he just opened it and let himself in.
Nope. And they ended up having to like kind of take apart the damn trailer to get the bull out.
Weird.
So
yeah,
that was another weird thing. Okay. Other things that they experienced, the original ranchers that lasted 18 months there were they'd see white lights or some kind of light, and then it would turn into a circle and open up, and things, non-human things, would come out of these holes or portals, if you will. They witnessed that quite a bit.
Jeez.
And finally, I don't know how Robert Bigelow. So Robert Bigelow is a billionaire, I believe. He's a big guy. I think he made his money doing making hotels in Vegas. But then he switched to aerospace, and so he's kind of a Bigelow Aerospace guy now. But anyway, he bought the farm from them. I don't know how he learned about the weirdness, but word got around. Utah's not that big.
Yeah.
It's close to Nevada. But yeah, and so he bought their ranch from them for $200,000. They probably thought, woohoo, all right, let's go to Florida and retire. But I don't know what happened to the Sherman family. They did take the money and they moved the heck off there because they were done. Between the cattle mutilations, between the weirdness with these quote unquote dire wolves or whatever the spectral wolves were, and all the other weirdness, they were like, yep, we'll take the $200,000. We're out of here. Mm-hmm. So Robert Bigelow bought it, and he ended up putting together, and I don't have the acronym. Sorry. He did put together a actual scientific group, and there's an acronym for it, but they were based out of Vegas, but they spent, most of their time there on the ranch, for a decade. He had it for a decade or thereabouts. And what they gleaned there was nothing short of crazy, like craziness there.
Everything continued to happen like it was.
Everything continued to happen, okay? And then while a few years into, while he had ownership of it, the Pentagon came in with their scientists. And again, they have a great big acronym as well. for this particular area and for this endeavor they were doing. And they too came away with a plethora of craziness, which is all redacted and you can't read about because, that's your federal government for you. But eventually Bigelow sold it to a real estate developer from Utah. He sold the ranch. Cha-ching. He sold it for $4.5 million to this guy.
Wow.
And that's the guy who eventually ended up hiring his own big set of scientists to start examining this. And the History Channel picked him up and decided to make a show out of it. And that's when I kind of turned it off. I'm like, oh gosh, even the Skinwalker Ranch is now Hollywoodized. But I kind of want to go back and now watch all the seasons, knowing what I know now. And so that's the history of the Skinwalker Ranch in a nutshell. So the Shermans left. Bigelow got it. Then the Pentagon came in. They got their information. 10 years later, another guy bought it. And then the show started. So there's where we're at. One thing that was said over and over and over by both the Bigelow folks, the scientists, the next bunch of scientists. We don't ever hear about the Pentagon scientists because it's all very hush-hush. But it's same stuff. I mean, they're all investigating the exact same place and they're getting the same results and stuff. But they said that if they stopped researching, if everybody just went away for the weekend and nobody's paying any attention, nothing happened. But the second they started paying attention and looking around, they said there was a conscious energy there that would interact with them. They all said it. They can't explain what that is and whatnot, but that's kind of weird too, because it almost like it needs the observer kind of thing, to maybe manifest, like how waves are waves until we observe them and they become particles, quantum physics and whatnot. It almost seems like it's the same type of thing. But anyway, so that was kind of interesting as well. So I'm going to give the talking stick to Rachel for a second and see what she came up with. And then we'll start deep diving into some of the more creepy stuff.
Cool. Yeah, that's good stuff, Brenna. Nice layout of the history. My research picked up with the TV show. I, of course, have heard about the Skinwalker Ranch in the, memosphere as being something that's out there and creepy and weird. And I'm like, it's probably nothing. Probably much ado about nothing. Kind of for me, Kandahar Giant. Okay, Kandahar Giant, whatever. I don't even know what that means. But then when you look into it.
What is that?
Kandahar.
What is
Kandahar Giant. I think we talked about it in one of our.
Kandahar Giant.
I'll say it slowly. Kandahar Giant. It's a.
Oh, okay.
I feel like we talked about it in one of our episodes. If we haven't, we definitely should. It's super good.
Okay.
For me, it was kind of out there. It was okay, I hear words. I don't know what they mean. I don't really focus on it until, I do. So,
yeah. And then the History Channel picks it up, and then I just shut off because I'm like,
right.
Oh, okay, now it's all mainstream, and they're just going to water it all down. It doesn't seem like they watered it down, though. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I haven't watched the show either, so I don't know. But the part that I'm picking up on, and it's interesting that you say that about the consciousness, because the guy that I kind of focused on is Ben Woodruff. He's the biologist that the TV show brought on. He's also a falconer, which will play into the story or into our podcast today.
Interesting.
I have a story about that. Okay. He had a lot to say, and one thing that he led with was, you said the consciousness. The consciousness is interesting, he said, because if you walked onto the property with a lot of bravado or this isn't nothing, or, kind of had an attitude about it, then often, I don't want to say 100%, but it could have been, something would happen to that person to kind of like something would kind of there'd be like some sort of negative thing that happened. But if you kind of came onto the property with respect and just curiosity, as you know, just respect and interest, he said that there was definitely more of an interaction that was just kind of like, he's of course interested in dead animals because he's a biologist. So like he said, the first day he got there, there was a dead rabbit right by the entrance, and so he's a biologist. So he looks at the rabbit, takes a picture. He knows what the decomposition life of a rabbit is, like, you know, pretty like immediately, if not within a couple minutes, it's gonna the biome in the stomach's gonna start like eating the stomach lining. There's gonna be bloating. Like, he knows it.
What did he find though?
That any animal, this is consistent findings for all of you heard about this too. Any animal, like,
I think so.
Any of the smaller animals, they just did not decompose. Like, they just.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
There was little or no odor, few insects. The ants would avoid them. Like, super minimal scavenger activity. The tissues stayed pliable. They never went into like a drying out or rigor mortis or anything like that. He documented it over and over again, like that was a consistent finding for the animals. And some of them had, like, birds had really weird bone, like there would be space, like bone, space, bone, space. Like they should not have been formed like that, but they were when he like opened up like certain things. They're just weird and weirdly weird.
Like they were so they were like kind of deconstructed.
They weren't formed correctly. Well, like, and that happened for nests too. Yeah, go ahead.
And that goes with the cattle mutilations, because when they would find a cattle mutilated, no other animal would touch it with a 10-foot pole. And some of those cows laid out there for a few days until they were found. Like, oh, you know, we're missing 2 of our herd, you know, then they'd go out, look, and then they'd find the cow, and it's, you know, its eyeballs are missing, its nipples are missing, its lips are missing. You know, like, it's weird. But no other predator, like a coyote or literally anything that likes to eat dead crap, would touch it with a 10-foot pole. So that kind of goes along the same line.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, they just, other animals just would not eat whatever gets killed on the ranch.
Well, this is interesting. Like I said, I haven't watched the series, but I guess in season 1, there's, in broad daylight, a UFO goes over the property, and a cow just like falls to the ground and dies. Like, it just kind of crumples. They go over and check it out, and like, it's just dead. Like, and they captured both, like the UFO. Well, I don't know if they caught the cow dying as it just crumpled, but they took photos of the UFO.
Well, and the UFOs are, and I'm not talking it's like non-humans. It could be our own UFOs, but UFOs means unidentified flying object. So UFO, if you look up Skinwalker Ranch, you will see footage after footage after footage. I mean, it got to where they didn't even like comment on it anymore because they fly over so often there. These quote unquote UFOs, you know, like they're always there, you know. People barely even like blink now, you know. The scientists were like, oh yeah, they're.
Oh really? Okay.
There they are again. So it became like the norm, you know. So the whatever those UFOs are, or whoever's inhabiting those UFOs, I don't know, probably maybe taking advantage of the situation. Like, oh, well, it's already like they're already investigating all this crap, so like this is a perfect opportunity for us to get the adrenal glands from this cow and this from that cow, and I don't know. That's me speculating what an alien might think.
I mean, I don't understand it.
Why not take advantage of a bad situation? I mean, that's... But anyway, the UFO factor is big there. And like I said, like I watched enough footage doing some research for this podcast that I'm just like, it got like, even like just these YouTubers, this YouTuber teenager guy, he's 21 years old. He went out there and he put a piece of steak on his arm and taped it up because skinwalkers are supposed to eat cows, right? You know,
Oh my gosh.
it was kind of ridiculous. It was kind of ridiculous, but even he was recording UFOs and he was just like, that's weird. And then he'd go on to just, it's almost like whip-de-doo, you know? Whip-de-doo. But I'm like, no, there's something above you you might want to pay attention to. I don't know. Just saying. So, yeah. Lots of weird stuff there.
Yeah, just an abundance of weird. And in a certain area, like it's a geographical boom area.
Yeah. And it, like what Rachel said before, like a sphere. And I actually saw a picture that they did a cross section of the whole area of where the ranch is and the mesa right above the ranch and this and that and the other. And they said it's a sphere and it goes underground.
Okay. Like a 3D sphere. Okay.
Like a 3D sphere of activity. And it's quite large. And then ultimately they ended up finding what's underneath.
Interesting.
And that's what it was killed. One of the, I almost said the actor, but he's not an actor. He's an actual scientist. He's got a PhD, and I think he worked for, I don't know. He's a big wig. Yeah, he almost died because of it. So, yeah, so they finally discovered the underground endeavor. And that's where, in my opinion, and we'll save this towards the end, but in my opinion, that's probably where the bulk of the strangeness is emanating from. Now, whatever that energy that's emanating from there, which we'll describe in a little bit, I don't know. I mean, radiation for sure, because it almost killed the guy.
Yeah, and a lot of the animals had radiation.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, so it might open up the energy for other stuff, i.e. the curse of the skinwalkers. Because I've seen the footage of the weird beings that when people describe skinwalkers, they're creepy looking. They're very creepy looking. And I've seen the footage, and some of the footage was just a regular old YouTuber kind of doing like that young guy I was just telling you about. And he's like, oh, hell no, and he's just running away because this thing, it's humanoid looking, but it's very skinny and long-legged, and it's disjointed. So it's on all fours, even though it looks like a human, and it runs around like almost like a crab. Oh, it's creepy as hell.
I didn't.
And so who's to say that the skinwalkers aren't coming on in and causing some muck too because of maybe this open conduit of this other thing that we'll talk about that they found underground.
Do you think those could be like,
it's hard to say,
fourth density beings?
They could be. They'd probably be negatively polarized fourth density beings, possibly, because they haven't killed anybody that I know of, but they creep people out, so maybe they aren't bad. I mean, you can't judge a book by its cover, right? Just because something looks creepy doesn't mean necessarily it is creepy. I had a shadow figure in my room once, and for all intents and purposes, it, creep factor, right? But it really wasn't creepy. It didn't emanate any kind of ill will or anything else. It just was there, right? So you can't judge a book by its cover. So I don't want to say that these weird ass disjointed, multi-jointed, weird looking things that run after people on all fours are necessarily evil. I'm not going to say that, but they certainly would scare the crap out of me if one was running towards me. I'm not going to lie. It takes a lot for me to get really scared, but even I would probably buckle and run. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, it's coming at me.
I'm like, you kind of look like a huge human spider. Nope, not going there. Not doing it. I'm running the other way. Okay, so what else? There's so much.
I mean,
this is an intro, and there's so much to this that we could like just focus on portals, or we could just focus on the UFO angle, or we could just focus on the Skinwalker angle. Like there's so much to this place. And that's what I'm saying. It's like whatever energy is emanating, I think it helps perpetuate more.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's multiple things happening on that piece of property, not just one thing. Hi, Brenna here. I am going to stop this episode now, and this will be our Skinwalker intro part 1, and we have another half hour for part 2, which will be coming out real soon. All right, everybody, until the next time, thanks for listening and take care.
Yes, thanks for listening. Soul
Holla!